All right, let's get started. We do have a quorum. We have full attendance except for Mr. Moreland. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and if you would, please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item number 4, we're going to approve the minutes from our January meeting. If you've had an opportunity to look over those minutes, please. And I think I did email those to you, but I just realized that I failed to print those out for tonight's packet. Did anybody have a chance to look at those? We haven't. I have a motion by Mr. Graves to approve as written, and I have a second by Mr. Seth Thurman. I apologize for failing to print that. I just realized that. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's so approved. Item number 5, we have a treasurer's the treasurer's report, and you do have that. We've had no activity as of today. We have $89,511.50. Let's approve that. I get a motion. Mr. Moreland, thank you. I didn't see you come in. Mr. Moreland makes a motion to approve. Mr. Graves second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The treasurer's report has been approved. Our next item number 6, the policies and procedures document that I distributed at the last meeting, giving everybody about a month to go over it. And I've tried to reach out to as many of you as I could just to make sure if you had any questions or if I could clarify anything. Everybody seems to be pretty well okay with it, but I'd like to open the floor if there's any questions or comments or discussions about that particular document, and then I'm going to better explain the other documents that are in your packet that I gave you this evening. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the policies and procedures that we distributed last month? Seeing none. In your packet, you're going to see some paperwork, and Mr. Benson has prepared this. What we're actually going to be adopting tonight is the policies and procedures document, as you've seen and you have in your packet, but there's a resolution that the Industrial Development Board has to adopt and pass to make that document real. You'll see that resolution in your packet. Mr. Benson also prepared in advance the resolution for your consideration that is going forward. Should the policies and procedures resolution pass tonight, it will be moved forward into the county commission. As I understand it from Mr. Jewell, it will go to steering committee and then on to budget and finance and then on to the full body if it passes all of those committee recommendations. So that's what that second resolution you see, and you'll see it at the top. It says 2022, but it'll be up to Mr. Jewell, I guess, or the mayor, I think Mr. Jewell, to assign it a proper number, but this is for your consideration. There is a typo in Ms. Petty's name on the first resolution. We have already caught that. Mr. Benson caught it and it is corrected. This is just a draft for your consideration. The actual document I will email to Ms. Petty if we approve it tonight, and then she can sign it and scan it and send it to Mr. Benson, and you will keep the original with our documents for future reference. So that's all that you in there. Now, there's another thing that Mr. Benson prepared, and it's the last page in your packet. And this is a breakdown of the pilot eligibility matrix guidelines. And this, we are all somewhat familiar with this because we've talked about it before and we've seen some of this, but this kind of puts it in a simpler format for everybody to see. But this is also, will go with the resolution forward to the county commission, so that if there's any questions by the county commission members or budget, finance, or steering, that they can, we can help answer those with our criteria. This matrix will be scored by younger associates out of Jackson. We will not be doing the scoring. Just to kind of lay this out, if the body or if the board passes this pilot program tonight, and then it moves on, it's essentially out of our hands after that. The Industrial Development Board doesn't have a lot of control with pilot programs after that. It will go on to be, once, if it's adopted by the county commission, it will go on to be sort of self-sufficient. It will depend on the case-by-case basis of the company that is applying for the application or the pilot program. And then the younger associates matrix evaluation, they will score it. And that will tell us what they recommend that we should offer or not offer, and give us guidelines for that. But the policies and procedures document then sort of takes over and walks it through the process. Now, if the pilot program makes it through the process, then the Industrial Development Board is the steward of that deal, but we don't really have a lot of power. And I guess I'm illustrating that because the determination of whether somebody gets a pilot program is not up to this board beyond tonight. It will be up to the committees and that have been set forth in the policies and procedures. It will be up to the scoring matrix. This is not something that this board will have a great determination over. So I just wanted to spell that out for people on the board, as well as anybody in the public that might be watching this, if they think that we are fully in control of whether or not there's a pilot program, and we are not. But this document's set up so that there's checks and balances, and it has to go through lots of levels of approval before it can be accepted. Now, once that happens, we will be the steward of the deal, because the way that will work in layman's terms is the property will be transferred into the name of the Industrial Development Board under our ownership during the period of the pilot program. Once the pilot program has been fulfilled for whatever period that is, it will be transferred back into the ownership of the company that has gotten the program. So basically, we will be sort of holding title on their property as collateral for them to do their obligations under the parameters of the pilot program. So I know that's a very simplistic explanation, but that's the best I could come up with to make it not so complex. Does anybody have any questions or comments or critiques? I will say that these resolutions and this matrix were presented to Mr. Jewell and Mayor Chambers in advance of tonight. They both had an opportunity to read them and consider them, and they both have full support for these documents. So they've already been sort of pre-vetted by two of the people that are very supportive of this act. I would like to thank Mr. Jewell and Mayor Chambers for their unrelenting support for this. We would not have gotten here without them to this point. And Mr. Benson and Mr. Rochelle have gone through a lot of work, with these focus groups and streamlining these documents where they are relevant to today's legal atmosphere and the deals that are currently going on in the atmosphere of pilot programs in communities around us. So there's a lot of people that have worked really hard on this, and we've had a lot of really positive support and very, very good input from everybody. I feel very good about these documents and this procedure, and that it is a well thought out, well considered document that will carry on for many years, hopefully. So if there's no questions or comments, I will leave it up to the board to entertain a motion. Mr. Seth Thurman makes a motion to pass the resolution adopting the policies and procedures pilot program for the Industrial Development Board of Hartsville, Trousdale County. Do I have a second? Mr. Graves makes a second. Any questions or discussions? Everybody comfortable? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It so carries. I don't think I'm overstating. Mayor Chambers is a veteran of the Industrial Development Board in years past, and I think I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited to see this pass, and I believe he is too, that we're taking a step. Would you agree, Mr. Chambers?
Yes, I would. This is something we actually started while I was on the board and serving as chairman. We worked with Tennessee Central at that time to put together the initial draft that Rochelle McCullen-Olds helped get to this final part. And it's something that's been stressed to me several times, both when I served on the board and since being mayor. This has really hurt us in recruiting some industry. I've known one specifically that we lost to another town in Kentucky that if we had had this pilot program in place, may have located here instead. So there's been several times it's hurt us not having this in place. So I'm glad to see it passed. And again, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, I can explain my understanding of it, or if not, I'm sure Rochelle McCullen-Olds can answer any questions. And I would invite all of you to come to the Budget and Finance Committee when they consider it, and then the County Commission, because I'm sure there may be some questions that how you perceived it as the board might be helpful to have someone there to address those questions.
Thank you, sir. I totally agree. This is not something that we just pulled out of thin air. This is something that's been in the pipeline for many years. Lots of different people have worked on it, and it's pushed it along inch by inch. We're just fortunate enough to be here at the finish line when it's finally crossing, but a lot of people have really contributed to this, and none of us could have done it without everybody's collective help. Yes, I will stay in contact with the board members, because when it goes before the Budget and Finance Committee, I don't know that it's necessary at steering unless Mr. Jewell feels otherwise, but I think at Budget and Finance, and if it goes through Budget and Finance and gets recommended to the full body, that we would like the entire board to be there, not only to answer questions, but to show our support for this, because this is an exciting step for our community. I spoke to Daniel Tidcombe at Tennessee Central, and in very simplistic terms, I said, how many deals are we missing because we don't have a pilot program? He said, conservatively, we are missing 7 of every 10 inquiries on the first day. The very first day, we're missing 70%. And then we're missing more as they get farther down the line. So this is just something that is an essential attraction for manufacturing and industry to come to our community. So I want to thank you all for your help and your patience, because when I first started reading the document, it was all Latin to me. It was pretty complex. All that being said, we'll move to our next item, item number 7. I don't have anything new to report personally. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
I'm still working with some potential retail to locate here. I actually had 2 restaurants looking for a location, and we just have a lack of commercial space available. I would like to see if there's any commercial developers interested in some of our vacant property we've got and come in and maybe develop some smaller shopping centers or something, because it's really been evident over the last particularly 2 to 3 weeks that I've had people contact my office and I've had to scramble for find somewhere for them to go. Whereas if we had a space available that is in addition to what we already have, we just have a significant lack of available commercial space and commercial space in general. And when you look around similar communities, so hopefully we'll be able to get somebody to come in to develop some more property. I certainly think we are at the very, very beginning. You know, we've thought we were in a good position going forward, a lot of interest. It's starting to get more and more concrete now. Census numbers are out. You can look at our average annual daily traffic counts have gone up before, I mean, higher than they were pre-COVID. The number of new developments we've got coming in, residential, the last planning commission approved over 140 residential units. One of them was 118 unit townhome development. So we were seeing a lot of growth there. And with that, retail follows rooftops. So we're getting a lot of rooftops. And so we're starting to get those interest from retail. It's just finding somewhere for them to go. That's been the issue thus far. And some of the ones that are probably you're going to be hearing about in the next few months are going to be in locations you would never thought they're going to go, but that's what they're looking at. So we're really starting to be able to take advantage of being this close to Nashville with the growth, explosive growth everyone's seeing. You're starting to see it. You're probably going to see, maybe I've done an initial interview with a Tennessean talking about what they call the donut counties, which is the ones outside, the ones that touch Davidson County. So it's like us, Robertson County, some of the other ones that don't touch Davidson County, but we're close. We're all seeing a tremendous amount of growth. So hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that as we move forward. But I feel we're in a really good position to start doing that. And now with 141, looks like it's starting to be more and more certain. The date I've been given was sometime in 2023. So we're right around the bend. I know that's something that's been a long time coming. And once that is completed, it's going to open up the east side of the county to a lot of development. Right now, you're seeing more on the west side. We are seeing some on the east side, but it won't be anything like it will be once that road comes in. And that should help us also attract more to PowerCom. So we're starting to see a whole lot of things. One of the things we do need to do, and the Planning Commission is in the process of looking at it once we're doing our strategic planning right now through the county, is to update our growth plan, which is over 20 years old, to where we need to do our infrastructure, where things are going to locate. So I think that's the next step in the process. So again, with a lot of growth we're seeing, we're starting to see a lot of development. I feel really good about the direction we're going. It's just, I think there's a lot of things just on the cusp of happening. Just got to get a few little things fall in place here and there, and you're going to start seeing a lot of development.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're not at liberty to say, because a lot of these folks want to keep it secret until they get to a particular place, but there's about 4 that I can think of retail businesses that are circling over our head, and 2 or 3 are likely to land in properties that are not developed now. So we're talking about new development properties, which is very exciting, because you're going from either not drawing any property taxes at all or very little to significant amounts. So these are good things. And a lot of us in here have, a lot of background in business, and businesses tend to cluster. So I think once we tip over that first or second one, we're going to see an increased activity because they like to cluster. So pretty exciting stuff. I've been hopefully optimistic and been keeping up with some of the interactions and communications that the mayor has been sharing, and it's very exciting, very, very exciting. And I know it's completely off topic, but did I see that somebody opened up some little shop right here, kind of down from Delahaye's?
Yes, sir. Actually, I haven't met her yet. I saw her working on the building. Haven't had a chance to introduce myself yet, but she's actually got 3, my understanding, she's rented 3 of Reggie Mudd's buildings. So she's got the 2 that right here together where the New Beginnings Church was. So it should be 104 or 106 Main Street. One of them, I believe, is going to be kind of an antique shop, and the other one's going to be a yoga / event space. And I think she's supposed to have some kind of grand opening here in the next couple of weeks. And she also leased the space next to the volunteer pool and hardware. I don't know what the intention is for that building, but I think she's leased that one as well. So she's doing a lot of things here. I can't wait to meet her. I know, but I've stayed away because I've seen she's been very busy working on that space. And so I'm glad to see that development. Plus, we've had some other buildings that have been owned by people that lived out of town, have recently been purchased by people that either live here in Trousdale County or very near Trousdale County, maybe right near the border, that are starting to develop those and redevelop those properties and put those back into use. So really good to see that. And also we are moving forward with our sidewalk rehabilitation project. Our first ones we're looking at is going to be on West Main Street. So it's going to be where the streetscape project ended, up to the intersection of Little Street going to the post office. Really looking forward to start getting that underway. And as we move through our 5-year plan to rehabilitate the sidewalks in downtown, and then eventually start extending them out following our connectivity plan that we had done in 2016. So got a lot of things developing. And like I said, I think we have a lot of growth ahead of us. It's just trying to get a few pieces here and there to really watch it break out.
When I was coming up tonight, I going through the 4-way right there at the bank, and I saw a new light on and merchandise in the window, and I just about run over somebody looking over there to see what was going on. I was being nosy, was rubbernecking, but exciting stuff. We're down to our place of public comments. Mr. Jewell or Mr. Benson or anybody in galleries, anybody have anything they'd like to say? Seeing none.
Me, if I want to talk, you know that. I want you to know that I did go over this, and I think the matrix, that page is going to be very instrumental in being able to help explain this to the county commission. As much as anything, that's going to be really, really helpful. I don't know how this is going to be perceived. I will do everything I can to try to make sure that this is implemented and goes through. I just want you to be assured of that. And I know the mayor is on board with that as well. The ones that I've talked to that I thought could understand it seem to be on board and understand the need and the reasoning. The only iffy right now is schools. There's been some pushback there from Dr. Satterfield and some of the school board members from a TASER presentation they had a year or so ago. We finally were able, Elliot was able to get that document. I've looked through it. So now we know what they know so that we can better be prepared to try to address their questions, issues, and misconceptions. Is that a good way to put it? That they have voiced to us. So hopefully we'll be able to, having that document that will help us to mitigate some of their concerns. But I'm pleased as punch. I just want to say that.
Thank you, sir. Well, the board is most grateful for your support and guidance through this process, along with the mayor and Mr. Benson and everybody that's been involved. Is there any other comments? Anybody like to say anything? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Graves makes a motion to adjourn. Mr. Seth Thurman seconds. We're all adjourned.